we should be able to complete these three modules. And day three, like these are all the modules. Okay. And day four, this, and so on. And after that, like in part two, again there are five more days, right? So hope you understood the like flow, or like the how the training is going to be conducted, right? Okay, and one more thing. So when we start with the like training, what we can see here, the platform which I'm going to use in terms of link. Okay, so whatever the link which I'm going to use and all might be slightly different than like what you have. Okay, so we have the link with like Wingspan Academy and all. So for you guys, it's Lex platform. So don't worry about those things. Apart from that, all the content, like maybe whatever the content which I'm going to use, is going to be similar for you guys as well. Okay, the course name is Programming Using Java, right? And if you go through the contents, you can see the similar contents whatever we have. So as of now, we saw that like for day one, we are going to cover four modules, right? If you see here, introduction to Java, keywords, variables, identifiers, and data types, operators, type conversions, right? So if you see here, introduction to Java is one module, keywords, variable, identifiers, and data types is second module, operators and type conversions are the next two modules. And similarly, it goes on. Okay. So hope you understood the structure of the course, and the table of content, like what we are going to cover on each and every day, how it is related, right? So everybody able to access this course content? Please do confirm before we proceed. I'll let you know, Pawan. So where to practice, what kind of questions and all those things. Slowly, I'll let you know. Okay. Okay. Just give me a minute. I'll be back. Just 1 second. Okay, I'm sharing it back. Okay, great. Okay, I have shared you a link, so you can click on that. So which will redirect you to the actual course which we are speaking about right now. Okay, so please do check that and confirm whether you are able to access the course. Yeah, you can do that as well, Vishal, or else it's just like I have shared the link, right? You can keep a copy of that so that you can easily redirect. So are you able to redirect to this course with the help of the link provided? Please do confirm. Anyone? Okay, Java Programming Fundamental is the name of the course. Okay. Okay, good. So yeah, you have to log in, obviously. You should log in with your credentials, then it will allow you to access that. What application installation failed, Avinash?
Yes, sir. The link is accessible.
It's accessible now?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. See, one thing, like you can also join through browser as well as through Lex application. Okay. So you can just copy that URL in browser and log in with your Infosys credentials so that it will allow you to access that. Okay. Those are mentioning it as application initialization failed. You copy that link and paste it in the browser and then log in with your credentials. So Abhilash, where exactly it's saying try after
Sir,
some.
I have doubt, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, I got same mail ID from another batch owner, sir, on FP Java generic training. So it is stating that it is generic G, and it is this section you are conducting is generic D. Which section I want to join now, sir? I got two mails from two batch owners.
You got from generic D as well as what?
Generic G.
Generic G.
Ah, yes, sir.
Okay, so for timing, what you can do is you can join here and continue, and you drop a mail to the batch owner and get it clarified.
Okay,
Okay,
sir. Thank you.
what is the latest mail which you got?
Sir,
Latest, last
latest
mail,
mail
like
as
last
generic
register.
D, sir. Latest mail.
Okay, okay. Then you stick on to this, and but still you get it clarified with your batch owner once.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I'll give 2 minutes of time. Please ensure everybody is able to log in and access the course content. Okay.
Sir, I'm stucking at finishing stage, sir. Hello.
Yeah, what happened?
Sir, I'm stucking at finishing stage of lecture.
Tracking it.
Finishing. It's not continuous. Continue.
Okay. Share the
What
link.
can I?
Sorry, could you please repeat? Like you got stuck at where? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, you got
Sir.
stuck at where?
I'm stuck at stage. Last step. Finish.
Your voice is bit breaking.
It's stucking, sir. Maybe I think it's network issue or.
Yeah, it could be. You please try after some time and we'll see. As of now, like we'll start with the content. Okay. So then slowly we'll get back to that. Again, we'll have some buffer time. We can try after certain time. Okay. Okay, great then, guys. So hope most of you have done that. And after some time, if somebody have any issues, like there are two things. One is you can log in through your Lex platform or application, or else you can copy that URL and paste it in the browser and log into your Infosys credentials, and then you can access the content. Okay. So if I suggest like you take this URL, go with paste it in the browser and then log in. Okay, so it is going to be simpler, right? Okay.
After login, where we have to
After login,
What
you just
courses?
paste this link so that you'll get, or else you search for that course, Java Programming Fundamental. Okay. All right. See, before we proceed with this, let me know how many of your like. Okay, let me know like from which engineer background you are from. So which branch? Okay, good. Instrumental, mechanical, electrical, electronics, civil, right? Triple E, chemical, petroleum engineering. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, that's right. We shall any except IT and CS. So that's what the reason like why I have asked this question before we proceed. Okay, now let me ask the next question. So you are all from non-IT background and going to learn Java, right? So how much comfortable you are or confident you are in learning this programming language? You just rate from 1 to 5 in with respect to your confidence. 5 is the highest, or like if you have any dilemma, you can reduce. Okay, good, very good. Like this batch is most enthusiastic. Okay, good. Some of you have learned earlier as well. Good. Right, Vishal. Good. So, see why I'm asking this because is there anyone have like second thought that like whether we'll be able to learn Java programming in these 9 to 10 days? Anybody have such like at least a second thought? Okay, Omkar. Okay, right. Okay, that's the positive, like right. So good. See, some of you have right. Some of you have doubt, right? Okay. I have basic oops knowledge. Okay, good. Okay, good. So now see why I have asked this question before we start with the actual content is so there is various background or like heterogeneous background. Like all students are from heterogeneous background here. But one thing what we need to understand before we start is there could be lot of what we can say dilemmas like okay we are getting into IT sector and we are from non-IT background and like we are learning Java here, so like whether we are really going to make it or not. So since you are into it, like you all might have mindset that yeah I mustn't do it like whatever is the scenario. That's the good and positive attitude, keep it up and don't worry, you can do it. Okay, so I'll just give you some insights before we proceed, right? So if you think about, okay, the number one is I'm from IT, non-IT background, like why Java for me? Okay, so how can will I be able to really give an impact or like do the change like when we work along with those who are from IT backgrounds and all. So I would like to give one scenario like based on that you can decide. Okay, so what's that is like say for example when you get into any projects, so never ever like the project will be on the only like it's not only about the programming. Nobody will come and ask you write a program for like palindrome, sort it, print it. So what you have seen like your lab experiment kind of things. Okay, and that's where like you have to work on certain problem statement. When we speak about a project or a problem statement, it will be based on different domains. So now Infosys, when you're working into projects, you might have projects from financial background. Like say for example, some company come and approach, say for example, I want to work some financial factors, income tax and all those things. In that case, you should have that particular knowledge. Okay, and say for example, like there could be a company which is like mechanical industry can approach for coming up with a software. So then like along with this programming language concepts or like programming, you should also have the background knowledge of those, like how that mechanical equipments or like that industry works, what is the process, what product and everything, right? And next thing is, say for example, there could be one more vendor who is like electronics, like chip making company. You can come and ask for creating certain softwares, right? So hope you are able to understand. Here it's not only about like programming skills, it's also about the domain knowledge, which is going to be very important. So if you guys learn this programming, it is going to be a double advantage for you guys. That is like your expertise in one area. So whichever is, whether it's chemical, whether it is triple E or like electronics or civil, it doesn't matter, right? So you have a good grip on whatever. Like say for example, if I want to build a software for designing or like CAD and all, right? Say along with whatever the programming language, we must and should have those things. So if everything can be done by like a computer science engineer, without the domain knowledge, it is very difficult. Okay, that's what the reason. I'll give one more example before we proceed. Okay, so hope all of you are like whether you can do it or not. So if somebody have any concerns, that's the number one. And the second one is like whether you will be able to achieve this in the given 9 to 10 days time slot. So how many of you feel it is very less time? Is it sufficient or it's less? Okay, that's the positive attitude, Vishak. It's sufficient, not sufficient. Okay, Saurabh, no issues. I'll let you know. Okay, less for beginners. Okay, Omkar. I think it's not sufficient, Praveen Kumar. Okay, great, no issues. Okay, we'll put all the effort. That's good, Rohit. See, these are all the dilemmas. Most probably, I'm asking a relevant questions, right? These are all the dilemmas like which might be running in your mind right now. Is it relevant or irrelevant questions? It's relevant. Okay, great. Then we'll just discuss and come to a conclusion and then get into the Java concepts. Okay, right. So now when we speak about these things, I'll give you one example. If you have seen like syllabus, maybe in like ICSE or CBSE, like there is a programming language included in schools, right? So are you aware about in which standard they have Java programming? Okay, good. Sahil, 10. Anybody else aware about that? Java is in 10th standard ICSE, right, Vivek? So it could be optional subject in some places, but still, okay. So there are some scenarios where they're introducing from 8th standard, 9th standard, and 10th standard. Okay, it is not mandatory everywhere, but it is being included, right? Now, why I am asking this question, because if you go back and see or ask a student of 10th standard who is learning Java, okay, it's uh, he may or may not be aware about like what he is going to be, whether he is going to be a doctor, whether he's going to be a getting into commerce field, whether he's getting into arts field, whether he's getting into like as an engineer or technical, right? Whether again in engineering, whether he's going for civil, mechanical, triple E, we never know, aeronauticals, whether he's going to do nursing, he or she, okay? Agree with me? Agree with this point, right? But still they are learning, which means that shows an option or necessity, right? Okay, good. Slowly, like as and when it goes on, what we can see is like it might be considered as an mandatory subject, so that happens gradually. But what you like to take it from this example is, okay, so it doesn't matter like when you are younger, so say they're learning it in 10th standard, and you are just thinking like if for those like who has the dilemma, if you are thinking that whether it is necessary for me, whether I can do it or not, so it's easily doable, okay. And the second thing is it is a necessity nowadays, okay. And then third thing is it's a double necessity for you guys. Again, necessity means that is the optimal, but still, okay. So that like you are into IT sector, no, so that you can easily do it. Next thing is like whether 9 to 10 days is sufficient or not. Okay, I'll take 2 more minutes and then we'll start the concept. So one thing, you just imagine or answer me how much time you used to spend when it comes to preparing for internals or externals for one subject. How many days or how many hours? Yeah, that's right. Everything is automated. Yeah. One night, last night, good, good, one day, right? So still you are able to easily secure like say like distinction or first class. You have that ability, right? So that's what, yeah, 2 to 3 hours. Good, Anjali. So now the thing is, see, to learn the concept, actually, you guys are really smart, like, and you have that potential to do it. Only thing is, like, we should work in that direction. So maybe here you might have the dilemmas because you might not have worked in this direction. You don't have like experience in this direction. But trust me, guys, you can easily do it. Why? Because if they allocate one subject, it might be one semester, which is spread across 4 to 5 months, but they will allocate for 40 to 60 hours. Okay. So per subject, including practicals and all. Okay. Now, if you see here, if you take like 9 days, and again in between you will get one weekend, what you can consider, that is Saturday and Sunday. I suggest you to include that as well as a part of a practice session for at least like during this training period. Then you can enjoy your weekends. Okay. So it's going to be somewhere around 11, 12 days, right? So 12 days into like we're logging at 9 to 6. How many hours? So around like 9 hours means we can exclude 1 hour for lunch break. It's like 8 hours. Okay. So 8 into 12, right? So you are spending sufficient time, that too along with the trainers. So usually what happens when you're learning, So if you are learning, when you have a doubt, if there is nobody to clarify your doubts, then it's going to be difficult. At least 8 years, trainers will be available along with you so that they can clear you all your doubts. Like me and Vidya will be there, so we'll be help you out with all your queries. Is it clear? So then, is it easily doable, right? So I hope like it's clear for everyone. There is no dilemma before we start. So don't keep anything in your mind that like, okay, I'm from non-IT background, I'm looking programming for the first time. So all the excuses, you please keep it aside and concentrate and believe in this process, and like you are going to be succeed for sure. Okay, so that's the first thing what I want to convey. Then those concept like what we are going to see now, we'll start with that. Okay, any queries before we start? And those are mentioning it as like some login issue, this, that, and all. It will be gradually solved, like we'll see again later. First, we'll concentrate on the concepts now. Okay. Okay, great. Sanket, Jagdish, Manoj. Thank you. So, and I might not have taken some names, those who have responded. Okay. It's good. Okay. Right. So actually, the first module in the table of content, but still, so this is what like why programming and all. So when it comes to like why programming, say for example, I have given various examples as of now. So nowadays everything has been automated. Like some of your friends said, I don't remember the name here. So everything is getting automated, right? Table of content, actually it is available in your like platform. Somebody, if you have the link, please do share that. Yes. Just a second. Yeah, Sanket has shared it. No, no, I think that is. I think what you have shared is a course. Okay, and if you want this table of content, I'll share the link. Okay, so this link is for table of content. If you go through this link, you will be able to download this PDF, whatever I'm using right now. Okay, right. Okay, all this your attendance related queries is going to be again cleared by your batch owners. Okay, so for time being, let us concentrate on this concepts learning, right? Okay, now I just give a quick glance about this. Say for example, nowadays we are using lot of what we can say gadgets. So right, the moment when we wake up from our bed, like whether we see our father or mother, like parents, we don't know, but we want to see our mobile. Agree with that. So that's such an attachment we have. Like once we step out from our home, like we need a vehicle so that like we can travel. So nowadays, like we human beings are getting attached like more in the personal life as well with the gadgets as well as in industries, right? Now the thing is, since we as a human beings we have such a connection with those electronic gadgets or like mechanical devices, so we should know how to communicate with them. Okay, so if you want to come up with like any of these applications to run that, so we need to know a communication medium which we should, which with which we can communicate. So as of now I'm communicating with you guys using English, so since we both understand that. So similarly, if you guys know, say, for example, Kannada, English, Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, right? So any of the programming language, if both of you like are comfortable, you can use to communicate certain things. So similarly, we should know any programming language. There are many programming languages: C, C++, Java, Python, Groovy, Grails, JavaScript, PHP, and so on. Okay. So as of now, like as a fundamental, like we'll be going in your generic training, you'll be going through Java programming. So we'll also let us know like, okay, will also let us know why Java programming and also how much it's popular and all those things, right? So now, say for example, when you want to understand, say, programming, nowadays, like we are using like lot of gadgets and all, right? So if you just think about your mobile, we'll use app like lot of apps, right? So where we'll do most of our work, like whether it is money transfer, ordering a food, like ordering, purchasing anything, shopping, sending some information, most of the things is being done through like mobiles. So here, each and every application what we are using has been built using the programmings. Okay, so as of now, like there is various programming language. So one of the programming language what we are going to learn is Java programming. Okay. Now, so for example, let us take out of that, let us take only one application. Say here they have given an example of a Swift food application. So hope all of you have used Zomato, Swiggy and all, right? So it is also one similar application. Say for example, what we'll do that the customer needs to order the food by specifying the food item and quantity, right? Next, the total cost is calculated and displayed based on the price for food item and quantity selected by customer. That's what happened, right? Okay. I request everybody to just concentrate on this case studies and like the concept what we are going to discuss now. I'll help you out with all queries. Like I'm looking at your questions in the chat, but I'll address whenever it is relevant. Okay. The customers can select the mode of payment and pay their bills accordingly. So that's what happens, right? So when we go for order a food in an application, first we'll select the food which is required, quantity, how many quantity is required, and then we'll go for uh, go to the bill, like say a checkout. So there it will show the total cost, and then we'll go for select the payment mode and we'll do the payment. And once it is done, order has been placed, and accordingly the order is going to be delivered to the customer's address. So we would have given all the address where it should be delivered and all those things, right? So that's what happens now. Like when we go ahead with this process, so it requests like everything goes in the background with the help of the way how it is being coded. Okay. Now if you see this like as a problem statement, that's like ordering a food, right? So what is exactly happening when we speak about like what kind of problems we are solving? The problems which is being solved has certain process. See, first one is input, then we are going to process that input and then output. So what do you mean by that? What is input, what is process, and what is output? We have see like we have gone through like kind of a scenario where a customer will select the food items, find the total cost, do the payment using the different selecting the payment method, okay, and then submitting, right? So if you see here, the food item and the quantity is the input given by the user, right? So he'll go for select that and then finalize those like food item and the number of or the quantity of that, and that is what we'll consider it as a input that is given by user from to the gadget. Now after that it will calculate the total cost of the order placed. So that is the process which is going inside. Okay. And so now when we speak about this process, that process has been done on the given input. or by using the given input. Okay, and then it is going to like give the total cost as well as success message, or there could be a possibility of error message if something goes wrong. So both are considered to be output. So hope you are able to understand this scenario. So what is programming? So in the real time, how like with the help of an example they have given. So how it is being done, what is being processed, and output has been given. Okay. Now this all like stories what we have seen so far, okay, has been represented as algorithms. Okay, algorithms is one of the terminologies. What I suggest for every one of you to keep a pen and paper along with you. Okay, and whenever you come across new terms, because if you are learning Java for the first time or like programming in detail for the first time, so I suggest you to keep track of all these terms, right? Why? Because going forward, when any concept is being explained, they will go for use these terms only. If you have a dilemma or like doubt like what exactly is the meaning of that term or word, it's going to be difficult for you to understand. Am I clear? Everybody please ensure that you have a pen and paper along with you, and it's going to help you with throughout the process. Everybody ready with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So everyone please ensure. Hope you understood why I'm suggesting that, right? Okay, good. See, say for example, algorithm is one of the term. Okay, an algorithm is a set. Uh, algorithm is a process or set of rules to be followed by computer while solving a problem. Okay, algorithm should be represented into form which others can easily understand. So there are primarily two ways of representing an algorithm, that is pseudocode and flowchart. Again, these are all like some of the understanding what you should have. Okay, so algorithm means like step by step instructions which we are providing it to the say for the process, like we'll give the step by step instructions, right? And that can be represented in two types. One is pseudocode and another one is flowchart. Pseudocode means what? Representing of the algorithm in a way that is in between a programming language and English. Okay. So it's mix of like programming language as well as general English. And flowchart means it is a diagrammatic. We'll draw the diagrams and we'll try to convey that same thing. So just an example for pseudocode. Say for example, input food item and quantity. See, if you read it, you will be able to understand. So there's no like complete sentence with all those things, but it makes sense, like kind of a simpler way of representation. Input these two, and unit price is equal to 10. Total cost is multiplied by unit price and quantity, so that we'll get it, and we'll display. See, when you say display, they are not using any like syntax over here. It's not like neither Java code nor C code, nor none. It's not specific to any programming language. It's general. We want to display. If you are using Java, we should go for system.out.println and just print this information. If you are using C, then maybe printf, and like in other programming language, different functions. Okay, it's like language independent, like it's something general, right? So this is known as algorithm. Okay, and once we write algorithms, okay, so what we'll do, we'll try to go for convert it into programming syntax. So meanwhile, like we'll go for use various others, what we can say, like when it comes to processing basically. Once we take the input and store it is fine, then process means what? So we will use those data and we'll process using like these operators. So process means it could be adding, subtracting, multiplication, division, or it could be just assigning from one place to the another place, or maybe sorting the data, right? So which means rearranging the data. So all these things we can consider it as processing. Okay. So now, so there are like various operators. One is like arithmetic operators. So hope everybody is aware about these operators, arithmetic operator. You know what does this operator means? Okay, good. Right. Then we'll just let me go for ask some questions then. Okay. Say for example, I have okay int num is equal to 10. Okay, I will go for data types and all. Okay, so like it's an integer number. That's what I want to say. Int num and say okay. So if I go for do it as say num divided by it's not x divided by x is x equal to 3. Num divided by x. What's the output? Okay. So if you see here, I can see 2 to 3 different answers. One answer is 3, another one is 3.33, another answer is 3.333, and again like one more answer is 3.333333 six times. Okay. So there is another answer 33.33 and so on. Now let us try to understand this. All of you are aware about this division operation. You have learned it in your elementary like school, right? But still, why I'm getting these different answers, right? Okay, like most of you might have given the relevant answers, but let us just try to understand. So here, what we need to understand is it's like division means like it's something related with data types as well. So if you divide an integer with an integer, it is going to return an integer actually in programming language. Mathematically, it could be 3.33333 and so on, right? And if you correct it to two decimal place, it could be 3.33. Or if you simply print it in programming like as it is, sometimes it will print go for print like 6 digit after the decimal. Okay, so those ideas you should have it clearly. Hope you are able to understand. So here in this case in programming language aspects, okay, it's going to give it as 3 only because 10 actually in mathematically it's 10 point sorry 3.33 and so on, but here integer divided by integer will give 3. So I have given these examples so that you can just keep in mind when we go with anything. So don't take it anything for granted. Okay, so please do always evaluate or keep one dimension as the data what we are handling. Okay, so it is not always similar to the mathematical operations. Okay, and I'll go for ask you one more question. Say for example, if I have now, can you tell me what is the output?
One, sir.
Yes,
One.
one. Yeah, that's right. So here it is going to give us the remainder actually. Mod operations will go for give us the remainder. Okay, so when you divide 10 and 3, like it's going to be 3 3s are 9, 10 minus 9 is 1, so it is going to give us 1. Okay, and what if I do what's the out? Okay, 3 1 0, good, 1 0. So it's okay if you have any doubt. If it's a wrong answer is also fine. Feel free to share. I'll correct if it is wrong. Error, undefined. So there are again like we have different types of answer, right? Actually, it is going to be 3. I'll let you know why. Okay, so usually when we go for do the division, what we'll do, say we'll have 3 and we'll have 10, right? So 3 3 it is going to be 9 and the remainder is 0, sorry 1, right? So similarly, when we go for do it in the reverse, okay, here we have 10 and here we have 3. So 10, how many are like first we are going to divide? We'll go for, yes, good. 10 zeros are 10 into 0 is 0. We'll get 0. And what remainder we got? Okay. Hope it's clear for everyone now. And maybe like we'll continue the division by putting decimal and dot and like that's a different story. Okay. Right. So what I want to convey before we proceed, as and when we get into programming, so it's like always most of the time playing with numbers. So you just please ensure like whatever you know, you just cross check once. Don't take it for granted and just have a sec like just cross check once before you proceed. Okay, so that's all. That's one suggestion, right? So similarly, I suggest you guys to go through this all operators, okay, and some examples of that. Now, like again, addition, subtraction, multiplication, right? Uh, Yes, I'll go for ask more questions, but I'll not keep a session only for dedicated to that. But as and when I keep going, I'll ask questions, trigger the questions in such a way that, like some of those, this kind of like tricky things, I'll keep it outside so that you can feel, you can like have a brush of kind of things. Okay, I'll do that. Right. So, and like again, see, division and modulus operator like this slightly depends. So you should be, I thought of like Brishita. And multiplication and subtraction, hope you are aware about. But when it comes to addition, so sometimes when you use it with integer, what it gives? Integer. Integer and a float, it will give float. It's a general operation. Okay, so there is no difference in that. But in programming language, we can use this along with the string data as well. Okay, so we can use this along with string data as well. Okay, we'll see that. Basically, when you use a string with a string, another string, it is going to be a concatenation, right? So we can use it for concatenation. We'll see in upcoming examples. Now, similarly, we have one more data type called, sorry, one more type of operator called relation operator. So where we are going to compare between two values. Okay. So we have a value at the LHS and RHS, left hand side and right hand side, and we are going to compare. So it will say like whether both are equal, whether the left one is lesser than the right one, whether left value is greater than the right one, whether left value is lesser than or equal to right one. Hope you can understand this in general, right? And we'll also use these operators like while solving the programs, then you'll be able to get. If you have any queries on these kind of things, feel free to ask. Okay. So basically, why they have given this over here is, so these kind of operators we are going to use when it comes to write algorithm as well as write the syntax. Okay, that's what we'll do the processing. Similarly, we have logical and operations as well as logical or. There's like logical operators. What do you mean by logical operators? Here we have, say, Okay, we'll see these things again in detail. So here when we say and, all of you know the truth tables of and or and not, right? All of you aware about that? They have given it here. You can see this. When it is true and true, both when we true and true is true, and true and true or true is true, right? So in general, what we can say it as, if both are true, then it is true, else it is false in and, logical and. Saurabh, actually, you have, okay, so all these contents available in the Lex platform in your login credentials, same contents are available. No need of again PDFs and all. You can refer this even after this session any number of time. No need to worry about, no need to write notes and all. Okay. So everybody please ensure like you just concentrate on whatever is being taught, and these contents are available for you guys. Okay. Right. So here, yeah. So now, like in the previous example, we have seen relational operators and all, which will return either true, false, right? So if you have more than one such kind of expressions, you can see num1 is greater than 2000, num2 is greater than 100, and if you want to combine both conditions and take one decision, so then we'll go for use these kind of things. So if it returns say true, and if this returns true, and if you have put and in between, then it is going to be true. So as and when like we get the problem statement, we'll just think and understand so what kind of logical operations we should use. Okay, so in general, like whenever both are true, then it is true in and, logical and, or else it is false. If any one is false, then it is false. But in or, if any one is true, then it is true. If both are false, only then it is false. Okay, and similarly we have not get. If you negate anything, right? So if it is true, then it is going to be false. If it is false, negation of false is going to be true. Okay, so like these are the truth tables, and then they're going to represent the algorithm. These are all they will use it when it comes to representing the algorithm. Okay, and there is something called like flowchart. What is the second type of representation of algorithm as a diagrammatic representation, right? So they have like say arrow. Okay, so which means it will show the direction of like how the flow is going on, and eclipse which like shows terminal, which means represent the start and end of a program, right? So rectangular box is for process, and diamond shape is for taking decisions like say if conditions and all. Okay, so if it is true, we'll do something. If it is false, we'll do something. Certain scenarios will be represented using this diamond shape. And parallelogram is for input and output. Okay, we'll see one example for flowchart as well. Right, we'll start, we'll take the input, and then we'll assign this value, we'll calculate the total cost, and we'll go for display. Okay, the order is successful, and then we'll display the total cost, and then we are going to end the program. Okay, so it's all like for your information, right? And when you go for like this, we'll use all these things, and we'll take some like there's something called like control structures, which means like how to control the flow of this execution is going to be taken care by this. Sometimes it's going to be sequential, there sometimes it's going to be selection or iterations. So there are like three types. Sequentials, what we have seen, okay, seen like we have not seen any code at, but we'll go for see that. And selection means we'll use some decision making, if else and all those things. Iteration means we'll go for use the loops. We'll see in detail later. Okay, I'll not take it as of now. And then for that, like they have say if it is a decision, this is one of the example for flow chart. Okay, and if it is a loop, so this is the like diagrammatical representation. Again, the conceptual and all is given. I suggest you to go through this on a free time, but we are going to cover these things, concept like loops, decisions and all those things. No need to worry, we are going to take it in detail. just I wanted to give you overall view before we proceed. Okay, right now. Okay, and post go like once you go through all this content. Okay, we have quiz questions. So it is available in your Lex platform itself, which you should like go through that, right? So for time being, what we'll do is we'll just go through this one. Okay. So now, can you tell me what is the correct order of solve any problem? Okay, or else, yeah, good. So input, process, and output. So you can select that particular answer. Okay, and then what is a flow chart? Okay, good. Diagrammatic way of representing an algorithm, right? So what is a pseudocode? Representing of an algorithm between a program and English statement. Good. Which symbol represents a decision in a flow chart? Okay, good. Diamond shape or second option. What is this symbol parallelogram use in flow chart? Okay, input and output. Which symbol represent the direction of flow in the flow chart? Yes, arrow. And the last one is, what is the outcome of the following pseudocode? Okay, now we have different answers. Okay, many of them are saying it as C or 1 and D. Okay, we'll just check that. Okay, it's just like tracing. Okay, if you see here, they said that the counter is 1, initialized to 1. Okay, so initial value of this counter is 1, and then we are going to check 1 is less than 5, yes, and we are going to in click, like I'll always consider counter here. Okay, this is a variable, value is what, 1, and then we are going to increment it, to 2. So then display 2, so we'll start with displaying 2. Okay, and then it will go for, I can check 2 is lesser than 5, yes, then we'll increment this to 3, and we are going to we'll display 3. Again it will go 3 is less than 5, yes, then we'll go for increment that to 4, and we'll print it. After that, we'll come back and check 4 is less than 5, yes, then we'll go for increment this to 5. This is important, like while passing the condition we check whether 4, 5 and 5 is going to be displayed, and then we'll continue. Okay, so it is going to be A. Is it clear? Why, see, if you say D, 1 is not going to be displayed here, it will increment. Okay, so it will print 2. So if you say 2, like 5 is also going to be displayed because 4 is less than 5. After 4 plus 1 will become 5, and 5 is being printed. Okay, Madhukar, see, 4 is less than 5, yes, 4 plus 1 is 5, and we'll display 5.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Sir, why did not you initialize at 0?
No, it's just a given code. They have given a condition. If it is this case, what happens? That's what their question is.
Okay. So we have just taken an arbitrary value, just an integer.
Yeah, see, if this is the condition, what is the output? That's what the question. We should know how to trace it.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Right. So, right, hope it's clear. Like similar type of things, right? Okay, good. Now we'll get into the actual like modules which we should complete. Okay, I know like if it is 0, then it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right, Praveen. We'll continue with this now. Since we are like going through Java programming, we'll just try to understand like its some of its highlights. Okay, Java has been evolving since 1991 with different editions. So it's like what they mean to say is like it's a like there from many years, like it's almost 2 decades, right? 2 to 3 decades it's there. Now, according to this, it's one of the standard what we can say TIOBE programming community. It's one of the community represented across the globe, right? So according to its index, it has been one of the top 5 programming languages. Okay, so there are many programming languages which will this has rated it as like again it's one of the top 5 programming languages in past several years. It's not for current, like many years. So it is being used by more than 10 million developers. So it's also popular. That's why the reason like, and also it's like old programming language with lot of different versions. So it is being used by many developers worldwide, just like more than 10 million. Okay, and more than 15 billion devices are powered by Java technology. So there's a lot of devices, electronic gadgets, which is being already powered, which means that that's running this Java technology. And more than 125 million Java-based TV devices has been deployed, and 97% of enterprises desktop runs Java. So these are all like some of the very like points which will help us to understand like okay why it is most popular and like how it like how many like developers are being using that and all those things, right? The feature and strength of the Java has made it suitable for application throughout the history of internet, and it continues to do so even for the modern applications. Okay, and now we have seen like a lot of other things. We'll just try to run a simple program first. Okay, so when it comes to you guys see here, it is named as tryout. Okay, here it is named as tryout. Tryout means you have to try it out. Okay, so they have given problem statement, question also given along with the solution. This is the solution. Okay, what you need to do is you need to just understand what has been like what code has been written for this particular question, and you can execute it and see it. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll just go for execute this. Now what I suggest for everyone is one is like the Lex platform in which you can execute and see the output. Parallelly, you start doing this program execution on Eclipse also. Okay, so I'm just going to open Eclipse. I'll just open. So there are different types of versions of Eclipse available. Okay, so once I click on Eclipse, it is asking for say select directory as workspace, which means it's asking to select a folder in which I want to run like save all my Java programs which I'm going to run. So I have already selected one, so I'll just launch it. Okay. And I'm just going to close all previous files. Okay, right. So now this is an IDE called Eclipse. So I suggest everybody to use this, and also in this course they have mentioned these things. We'll again see that. So let me go for time being. Let me go for create one. Okay. For timing, let me go for create one. Okay, don't worry. I'll go for create one Java project. It's very simple. Again, we'll see that. Okay. So one thing what you need to convey is whatever we are going to see, we are going to do it repeatedly. Okay. Don't worry or don't panic. So if you have any doubts, you feel free to ask. We'll be happy to help you or like repeat any number of times. Okay. So I'll just go for create one project, file, new. I'll give it as Java project, and I'll give the Java project name as say June 20, like today's date. Okay, so we are starting with, I hope the screen is visible for everyone. Praveen, you please check once with your internet. Okay. Yeah, so whatever the code I'm going to write, I'm going to zoom it out. And whatever we are looking at this, no, like since my laptop screen resolution is more, I think it's going to be small. Okay, but whatever the code I write, I'll ensure that I'll zoom it so that it's clearly visible. Okay, so June 20th, and let me go for finish it. So what I'm going to do is all the like things. See, once I create a project, you can see there's a lot of other like folder kind of things which is appeared, right? So now we'll go for like look into that slowly later. So it has created this SRC folder and all those things. So what is that means and all, we'll again see it as and when we keep moving. Okay. So here I'll go for create. There's something called package. So it's just like structuring whatever the Java files which I'm going to create. Okay, I want to put it in a separate folder, so I'll make it as say day one. Okay, day one. Now I am going to create a class in Java. Like we should create always like at least that we should write all the codes in a class, and I'll write it as welcome. Okay, and finish it. Right. So what happens here right now is like we have created a class file. So what are the things we need to understand here? Whenever we create a class file, the file name is going to be, say if it is welcome.java is the file name. Okay. Yeah, I'll repeat that. So I'll repeat that. Don't worry about the whatever, like however I created. So I'll repeat that. Okay. Only thing like what we need to understand is I created a project. Inside that I created a package and I created a class. I'll tell you, Nilesh. First we'll run this code. Okay. And then we'll concentrate on this, understanding this, like what is how to run a simple code. Okay. So here, okay. So whatever they have given, I'll just copy it and I'll go for paste it. Okay. So which means, see, just for timing, don't worry about all these things. Okay. And here the system.out.println is the code to print any string what we'd like to print. Okay. So say like hello world, welcome to Java programming. I'll just make it as say if I want to change anything, I can do it. Okay. I'll go for save it and I'll go for run it. Okay. You can see the output here. Right. So now if you see here, like whenever we run any program, we need at least one class. So as of now, I have taken it as a welcome class. And whenever it is a welcome, like whatever the class we take, okay. So whatever the class we take, the file name is also going to be same with the same if welcome W caps here also it is same. Okay, so same thing, it's a case sensitive and followed by .java file. And inside the class, we should have at least one method that is like main method. So here public static void main, and we'll understand that slowly what is public static void main means. Okay, so what is the string args means. Okay, so this is like something fixed, and inside that, like, we want to print one line and we have printed this. And if you want to print, say, one more line, system dot out dot println. Okay, I'll write it as second line followed by semicolon. I'll just save it and run it. Okay, right? Okay, good. So packages, I'll let you know. Okay, don't worry as of now about package. Okay, there's the structure. I'll repeat it again and again so that it is going to be very comfortable for you. So here, the process which I'm going to use, learning process, is I'm going to explain the concept, okay, and relate it with whatever the content we have in the Lex platform, and whatever we have studied previously. Like previously means like whatever the concept we studied previously, I'll keep repeating whenever it is available, okay, so that it is going to be a revisions. Okay, so right. Right, so you can execute in your Lex platform directly and it is going to display the output right below this. You can change something if required and you can run as well, right? So now, no need to write public class for second line. No, see, actually, whenever we run this program, that's not like we'll just try it. It's not required actually. So this public and all is used for either class, methods, or attributes actually. We'll see that slowly, Praveen. Okay. So for time being, what you can understand is we have something called class is required at least one, and we need a method called main method so that the program execution can start. Okay, and then we'll go with, like, if you want to print, we'll use the system.out.println, and in double quote we will write anything what we would like to display. If you want to display your name, you just write your name. Okay, can we run program without class declaration? No, wrong, we cannot do that. Backslash n is required for the next line. If you want back, you can give Rohit. Okay, as of now, I'm writing two line using two println statement. Okay, and yeah, right. So now let us just try to understand what is happening. We wrote some code and we execute it. So what is happening is, whenever we wrote a code, so again, if we here we are going to get some more terms, right? So one is high level programming languages, binary language, right, and compilers and interpreters. Okay, compiler and interpreters, right? So first let us, okay, you have a lot of queries coming with like, okay, how, what, and all. Since we have seen a lot of things, I'll explain each and everything. Okay, so but right now I'm explaining about what is happening when we run a program. Okay, say what happens is, what we have written it in, like, say, coding syntax, right? So a bit of English and like code syntax and all is available, but that code what we have written is not directly understandable by the machines. Machine can understand only binary language, that is zeros and ones. Okay, machine can, like, whatever the computer, mobile, whatever you are using, it can understand only zeros and ones. There's a binary language, right? So whatever the programming we wrote in Java is a called as high level programming language, which means that language, programming language, what we code which we have written is not understandable directly by the machines. Machines can understand only this. So how we are going to convert our code into this binary binary values? Okay, so for which we will take the help of this compiler or interpreter. So let us try to understand that first. Okay, so whatever we write is known as source code. Whatever the program I write and save it as .java file, so that is known as source code. So written by the programmer, which means like just now what we have written, and gets compiled. Okay, get compiled and converted into bytecode. So now what is this bytecode? So whatever the code which we have written as a source code is going to be converted into bytecode after the compilation. So when we run the program, execute, first it will do the compilation, then it will go for run that particular code. So before it running, it will convert this source code. Okay, before it running, it will convert this source code into this compiled code. Okay, by the Java compiler. Who will do that? That will be taken care by Java compiler. All bytecodes required for a programs are then given to the interpreter. Then this Java compiler, what he does, he will provide that to the some one more person called interpreter. Okay, interpreter reads the bytecodes line by line, converts it to the binary form, and also called as the machine level language. That's the binary language. So this guy will convert it into binary. Okay, yes, it's interpreted, it's converted into binary language, which can be understandable by the machines, right? So this process requires some support for doing all these things like source code to like compiled code. Who will do that? This Java compiler will do that. So we need Java compiler, okay, and then we want interpreter. So for holding all these things, we need some environment, right? Okay, so for example, if you want to cook something, so which environment is required? You need gas stove, sometimes refrigerator, mixers, and all those things. That environment is known as kitchen, right? It has all those things available so that you can utilize whenever it is required. So similarly, we want this in some case, we want interpreter in some case, we want all this in some environment, some place like together. So that is known as, so this process requires some support and environment for execution to happen. So now again we have some more terms. See, like just please ensure like you're noting or like listing down all these terms. Okay. So we have come across again source code as one more term, and bytecode as one more term, and we heard something as Java compiler, and one more as say interpreter. Okay, binary language we already heard it, right? And then now we are coming across JDK, Java Development Kit. Okay, and it also provides the support and Java runtime environment, Java runtime environment, and library support, right? So these are all the terms what we can see here. So why I'm highlighting that, you please note it down, and every day like at least twice you just go through the terms. If you read it as okay, Java Development Kit, if you can understand what is that, then it is good, because next whenever you hear that word, you will be able to understand. That's what the concern. Okay, right. So we are going to use these things. So now we have Java run, okay, JDK, which consists of library support as well as Java runtime environment. Okay, we have seen lot of terms, and like we said, like it's required, like compiler required, interpreter required, and we have something called JDK, and which includes JRE and library support. So we visualize that in terms of the, we'll go for visualize that. Okay. Okay. Go for visualize that. So before that, so for doing all these things, we need to have installed difference between compiler and interpreter. Okay, I'll take this question next, like maybe in 1 or 2 slides. So where we have the structure of this complete JD and is available. So there we'll just see it. It's platform independent. Java is platform independent. Okay. So when we speak about compiler, it's like it will take the complete code and convert it into bytecode. That bytecode will be taken by line. So that will be taken care by the interpreter. Okay. So that's what the difference. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. So we'll see that. So before that, what we'll see is, so how to install Java. First, you please check in your system whether Java has been installed. So to do that, you can go for either search and say CMD and enter. So that command prompt is going to be open, or else. Okay. So if you're using Windows Center, like you can go with Windows R. So where you will get a run pan. So where you can type CMD and enter, you'll get it. Okay. So here what you should do is to check whether Java has been installed or not. You can go with say Java hyphen version. Okay. So you can see this Java version is 1.8. So similarly, if you get this version, it's good. If it is not installed, it will give a message that it's like not identified. Okay. So it's going to give an error. Right. So in that case, you must and should install the Java. Right. Now, if it is available, then it's well and good, or else you can go for just install Java and keep it. Go for search like install Java and give your operating system name. You'll get the file. You can select the version which is required. So download it and double click and go on and complete the installation. Okay. After making like that Java is installed, you have to go for install like IDE Eclipse. Okay. So Java versions needs to be installed. See, if it's like Java 1.8 and onwards, and like that's fine, no issues, because like all those programs, what you're going to do now is going to supported by all the that versions. Okay, so after making sure, that like Java is installed, you go for install the Eclipse IDE. So sometimes again Eclipse IDE it depends upon the version. Sometimes like if you go for higher, it will go for download and they can go for install, and or else like you can download it, just unzip it, and then you can go for proceed. Why not VS Code? You can go with VS Code, but there's a lot of like very comfortable with IDE, Eclipse IDE with lot of packages and supporting. And in this course, they have suggested like Eclipse, so suggested you to go with the Eclipse. Okay, VS Code is also fine. It goes good. Like you can work, you can execute, right? Right. So, but suggest everyone to ensure like you download the Eclipse IDE. Okay, and then you can go for run it. Right, fine. So what I suggest is right now we'll go for take a break for 15 minutes. So meanwhile, like though if anybody has not installed Java, okay, so IntelliJ, so like there are many IDs, like it could be VS Code, IntelliJ, and lot more. So suggested everyone to go with Eclipse. Okay, so since it has been mentioned in the course, but if you see for learning Java, you can use anything, there is no issues. Okay, so I'm not restricting anybody, but you also have more a bit comfortable with this Eclipse also. That's what the suggestion. Yeah, Nilesh, like there is its own like when you compare one ID with the another. Okay, right, great. So we'll have a quick break for 15 minutes and then we'll continue and we'll see more and more what we can say. Uh, Examples. We'll start writing more and more codes, examples, and go through that. We'll complete that. Okay, right, fine. So you'll go with, yeah, Java developer version is fine. Okay. Right, guys. So we'll have a break till 11 a.m. Okay, and we'll resume at 11 a.m. Okay, right. So as of now, we have seen like how to run a like simple program, like the first one, right? So now you can keep changing this printing statement, whatever it required as per the problem statement. Okay, right. So now let us just try to understand. Now, as of now, you most of you are wondering like, okay, like those who are new to it. So class welcome, okay, public static void main. So what does that mean? So here, actually, like the output what we are getting, hello world, welcome to Java programming is because like we have written this string, okay, we'll call it a string, or the text what we have we'll call it a string. Okay, so in between this double quote, whatever the text we write in between this double quote is considered as string. Okay, and using this println method we can go for display any string information or like some variable values, right? So we'll see that slowly. Now this system.out.println is the one which is like printing this information. Then what about other? Say for example, if I have a class welcome, so this welcome is a Java file name as well as the class name. Okay, and then if you see this main, it's a method. So you can see public static void main. Basically public means like we can access this method from anywhere. Static actually it means that like we can call this method without creating an object of a welcome. So no need to worry as of now. Again, there is a specific topic on static where we can explore and understand in detail. Okay, and void means like it need not to return any value. So after running, it's simply running, that's all. It's not written, there is no keyword written. If you have a void here, there is no keyword written inside that method. Okay, so we need not to return any value. So if it is other than void, then we should return a specific data. That's what it means for any method. So we'll see that. Okay, and this is something input parameter. So basically it's used while command line arguments, sending the command line arguments. So there is like a discussion on this, we'll see that. So as of now, what you can understand, if you want to run any program, we want main method enclosed in a class. So we have the class name can vary, okay? So there is no restriction for that, but the method name should be main. Every time the program execution always starts with this main method only, okay? Right, so that's what they have given, system.out which displays the message and each and every line. So here there is one word what you need to understand is statement, okay? So I was telling you like the terms what we are using. So statement means in Java program must be ended with a semicolon. So for example, this is one statement, system.out.println hello world welcome to Java programming followed by semicolon is one statement. So like that we can have any number of statement, and if you see like what I have written here, can you tell me how many statements are there in this program? Okay, good. So that we have two statements because like this is one and this is another, okay? So now what I will do is I'll just, we can give like if you want like print something. Now I want to print this, but I want to give a new line here. After this I want a new line, so you can use \n, which will give the new line. Okay, I'll go for save it and I'll go for run it. Now you can see how many outputs we are getting here. 3 lines of output. Now can you tell me how many statements are there? Okay, output is 3 line. What is the number of statements in the program? 2. Okay, good. So don't get confused with like number of outputs what we are going to get. That's like entirely different thing. Yeah, 2 statements, right? Very good. Okay, and when we speak about say in class, we can have any number of methods, but to run a program, we should have at least one method that is the main method. Okay, Rishabh, we are using println, then why \. See, println is for printing a line. It will say that you are printing a line, like you have to print all this information given. That's like a string over here. And after that, you should give a new line. So this ln indicates you should give a new line. Okay, but that if there is like if I want to print 5 lines, I need not to go with say 5 println statement every time. So you can just give like if I want to print all this word in different line, I can give there is like \n which will be considered as a new line. Is it clear? Is the class name and file names are same or different? It's same. Okay, yeah, Ramya, that's great, that's right. Okay, okay, right. So now we have this main method. So scope, like whatever the content of like, or we'll say the scope of this main method or the method description of this main is going to be described in between this curly brace, open flower bracket. Sometimes they will tell, sometimes they will tell curly brace. Okay, so it's enclosed between these curly braces. Okay, and then every method in Java must be present inside a class. You cannot write any method outside the class. So somebody asked like, can we write without class? No. Okay, so it must and should be inside a class. Java is a case sensitive programming language. This one is important, guys, because like as a human beings, most of the time like majority will ignore like that case sensitivity. We'll read it and we'll go with the concept. If the name has been written like completely uppercase also, we'll read it like we'll just concentrate on that name, right? So or else like if it is a title case, whatever it is, like we'll go for the content. But here it is not the same. If you have like welcome w caps, then if you are using this class anywhere, like again it should be welcome w caps only. So there is a difference between uppercase and lowercase, so that's why it's saying that like case sensitive. Okay, now so once Eclipse is installed, okay, so we'll go for create the workspace. Now, like I did something when I started running that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So meanwhile, what I will do is say I will go for close this Eclipse. Okay, exit. Good. I'll go for open. So you have to open Eclipse first. Your voice is breaking. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Now it is clear.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll repeat it. Okay. So hope everybody heard till that like workspace which I said.
No, sir. The last part was stuck due to the
Okay.
connectivity.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry for that. So I'll go for open Eclipse. So once I open Eclipse, okay, it's asking for the same thing like what you can see here. The prompt which I have got from my Eclipse, like it's very small, but you can see it in the larger view here. So they're saying like D colon my workspace colon learn Java. So which means like the one who has taken this snapshot has created his workspace at this address. But if you see mine, it's like C colon users slash Krish slash Eclipse hyphen workspace. So which means I'll open my folder structure. Okay. So here what I want to do, like I want to go to the C drive. Okay, and there I have to go to the folder called, so okay, here we can see there is a lot of folders, right? You can see there is a lot of folders, and here I want to go to the folder called user, and again in users I have two folder. Okay, and I want to go to the folder Krish, and there I can see lot of folders again. So there I want to go to Eclipse workspace, the one which is here. I'll open that, and here you can see lot of folders again. Okay, so even though when we go for an Eclipse, if I go for Eclipse and see like, okay, I'll give it as launch, and it's opening. And if you see here, there is June 13, June 20, May 10, practice, Swift 4, try first, a lot of things, right? So if I come back here, June 13, June 20, May 10, practice, Swift 4, try first. So these are all the actually project there in ID, what it is showing. And if you see here, it is a folder structure only. Okay. And if I go for like the current one, that is June 20th, okay, so I here again I can see lot of other things. There is a folder called dot settings, bin, src, class file, and project dot project. Okay, so we'll not worry about that, but basically whenever we create a project, so these are all like going to be created by default. And in source, okay, this is the folder in which we are going to store or like save all our Java files. So we have learned right now that whenever you want to run any program, we should have at least one class, and the file name should be saved as with the class name .java. So I'll go for, I have one, so like in the source folder I have one folder. If I come back here, I go to this June 20th, and I have something like JRE system library followed by SRC. Okay, so this SRC is a folder which stands for source code. Okay, so all the source codes are going to be stored here. And if we open that, there is something like a brown color square bracket with a plus symbol is known as package. I created this package, right? So first I created the project, then I created the package. So they have given the steps to create that. If I come back here, first open this workspace, then go to new, then go to project. I did the same thing earlier, and then I selected Java project because there are different projects which is available. Okay, so I selected a Java project, and then given next I gave the project name. So the project name which I gave was today's, like say just for my convenience. If you want like your own project, you can give first project, second project, or like whatever the name you want. Okay, so I selected today's date because I am going to create lot of classes when as and when it is required. Okay, for this like concept understanding, right? So I represent it as this batch. Okay, right. So after that finish, then it will ask to change perspective. Since in my idea I have already selected the default perspective, it is open always Java perspective. So if you get this, you just give it as yes. And after that, see, once we do that, what happens is we have only these things ready. Okay, this is June 20. These are all other project. I'll just go forward. Okay. Okay. So these are all like different project. Don't worry about that. So as of now, we are dealing with this one. So this is by default created. Okay. So they are going to create new and package. See, package is just to like structured way of arranging the class files. Sorry, yeah, Java files. Okay. So if I come back to this folder structure, if you open this day one, I created one Java file now, right? That is welcome.java. Okay, so this file is that I can here I can create any number of Java files here. Hope you are able to understand. Okay, it's just like, again, I can open this Java file with a notepad also. It will open. Okay, so I can run it without like IDE also Java, since it is installed using command line prompt. But this is more like user friendly and very easy to navigate between the hierarchy of those file structure and packages. That's why like we are using, like, again, there's a lot of other advantage in Eclipse, so it will give some suggestions and all those things. Okay, right, so we'll come back. So this is what we have. So same thing, what we have in source folder, we have created a package called day one. In that I created a class, so that's what they are showing it here. Okay, after that, so create a package with the demo, and then we go for again new. Every time, see, we go for new class. Earlier we created project, then we created package, then we are going to class. Give the class name and finish. And if you come back and see, you can see the code here. Okay, so we saw like once we created, we had this, right? And then like you can go for run, like start writing the program. So for running any program, we want public static void main. So main method is must and should. And for main method, there is an like input parameter. So whatever you write in method, this parenthesis is known as input parameter. We'll see that again as well. So if I use some word for the first time, don't get worry. I'll keep repeating, like it's going to be repeating like whenever we are going to do that. Okay, so we have an input argument string, and it's an array args. Okay, so here we'll go for write system dot out dot println, and whatever I want to write, I'll write here. Okay, and followed by semicolon. So this is going to be a statement. We have one statement here now. Since it is like, I'll go for save it and run it, so we can see the output here. So hope the like running a program inside a Eclipse is clear. Okay, and project you can create only once, not required for you to create project. If you run 10 programs, that doesn't mean that you have to create a 10 project. No, you have one project and you keep creating like all programs in the same project. Okay, and packages you can keep creating. So as of now, like it's just for understanding or like structural way of accessing all the programs which I do. I'll in the day one today, I'll keep creating it in day one. Am I clear? And maybe tomorrow I'll create one more package and I'll create all the class files in that. and day 3 one more package, so that like it's structurally accessible, that's all. And we have seen this folder structure here as well. It's simple, like folder inside a folder. You can see this, like this PC and like user, Krish, Eclipse workspace, June 20, SRC, day 1. These are all the folders. Okay. Yes, coming back to this. That's what they have shown. Run it, you can see the output here, and this is known as console. Output is going to be displayed in the console panel. Okay, the one which you can see here, console. Right. In one program, can we write more than one class? Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can go for do that. I'll let you know. Like we'll see that. Like in upcoming, we'll see like more than one problems. Sorry, more than one class, and what all the do's and don'ts. I'll let you know there. Okay, we'll do that. Now execution of programs. So now we have seen like how we are going to do the structure and all, right? So here, what we are going to do is the development, compilation, execution of Java programs is taken care by JDK. Can you tell me what is JDK? We heard this term earlier.
Java development kit, sir.
Exactly. So
Java development kit, sir.
yes, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Java development kit. So when we speak about, see here you can see blue color rectangular box, right? So this indicates Java development kit. Okay. So the box which I put as going like, sorry, scroll down. I didn't get you. Any question?
He's saying to scroll down the page, sir.
Okay. Okay. So if you see this complete, okay. So if you see this, see Java virtual machine is actual runtime and all those things. Now in JDK, we have seen that we have development tools as well as runtime environment. So what is development tools? We need to do the compilation and we need to launch means to run it. So there are two things, right? Whenever you click on execute in legs, it will compile as well as it will launch. But in like when we go for again click in Eclipse also, when we just click on this button or right click and say run as and run Java application. So either you can click on this button or you can just right click on this and say run as and Java application, it will run. Or else in this package explorer, you can right click on the welcome.java file and say run as and Java on application. So either of the things, it will run the program. Okay. But when we do that one operation, one click, what it does, it will compile and it will run it. There are two steps. Okay, but if you see here, that is going to be taken care by, there is Java compiler, the one first it will invoke this compiler, which will take care about the compiling the code, and then the launcher will go for run the code. And while doing that, it will utilize this Java runtime environment. Okay, so now let us just try to understand. So what does that mean? Okay, so here required to develop Java applications. These both are required. And here contains the libraries and files required by the JVM for executing the Java application. So what is JRE contains? Runtime library and standard packages. We have learned it. Along with that, there is one more block called JVM. Okay, so this is supporting things. Both are like supporting library and standard packages are predefined codes, pre-written. Like now we are running something, right? So now we are running here and we wrote only this string. Like what does this println means? What is the meaning of this like public, static, main method, system, out? all those things has been defined, predefined in the packages, standard libraries. Okay, so and like there's a lot more than this. So that is available in which area? Standard packages and libraries.
JRE, sir. Java
Okay,
runtime.
JRE, right. So it is something like, it's just like JRE is like a kitchen now. Okay, JDK fine. Inside JDK, like we have JRE. If you want to run, sometimes if you have JRE is sufficient, but in JDK we will surely have that kitchen. See, if you want to prepare food, okay, it's just we must and should have a kitchen environment. Agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but if you think about a home, obviously kitchen will be there for sure, right?
Yeah.
That's what they like something what we can think. Say if this one, like the green box which I'm drawing right now, okay, that might not be a proper rectangle box, but still we'll consider that. You can think it as just like house. Okay, this is just like house. When we think about house, obviously there is a kitchen, at least 1 BHK, 2 BHK. That K factor will be there, right? So, but if I see this, this runtime environment, what we have, this we can just think it as a kitchen. I'm giving some like real time example. So if you get confused, you can think about this example to differentiate between JDK and JRE. Okay, I'll just take it as, I'll write it as K. K stands for kitchen. So in kitchen, like these are the standard packages and runtime libraries. Say for example, in kitchen we have gas stove, oven, mixer, grinder, refrigerator. These are all like standard, something standard what we want. We can use this whenever it is required. But the actual process is going to be taken care of by JVM. What is this JVM? Java Virtual Machine is actual runtime in which the Java application executes. Actual process might be done on a gas stove or maybe like kitchen table, like chopping, okay, cleaning, and maybe like adding, like cooking. Everything happens on that kitchen table or like slab, right? That is like what we can imagine it as JVM. Okay, so actual execution happens here. Now let us just try to understand in the real programmatic way. Okay, I'll just go for clear this and let me go down. See, Java compiler is javac.exe is a primary Java compiler. The compiler accepts the Java source code. Like now all the terms what we have learned is coming over here. Okay, just observe Java source codes. Okay, so this Java compiler will take input as a Java source code and it will give the output as Java bytecode. Okay, and then there is something called Java launcher which helps launching the Java application during the execution. Okay, that we have seen. The Java runtime environment contains Java virtual machines and the Java standard libraries. Okay, Java virtual machine means what? It is a virtual machine that enables the computer to run the Java program. See, this is important. What is the work of JVM then? See, JVM is one of the software only, okay? It's a software only which will interact with the operating system and it will ensure that the Java program which we like to run is being executed. It's like it's the one who interacts between the operating system and get the work done. Understood? Because at the end we need to use the hardware of the laptop or a desktop what we are using, isn't it? And the connectivity between those hardwares is with whom? Operating system. So this Java virtual machine. That's why it's like virtual machine, which will connect with the operating system. Understood now? Any anybody is getting confused or any questions? Is the way being going on is comfortable to understand?
Sir, the total block is called JDK.
Yes. And JDK has JRE and JRE has JVM.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Niranjan, any queries? You have raised your hand. Convert source code to machine code, right? Yes, exactly. No. So that's what we'll see, like what code it will convert. We'll see in the next slide, okay? And it will use this Java standard library whenever it is required. Okay, I'll go to the next one so that you can understand easily. So here is the complete workflow, okay? So that we'll understand. First, what we do, we'll go for write source code. This is being written by developer. I'll just write D. I'll write the developer. So we will write the code. We are developers, and whenever I say developers, it's you guys. Okay, don't get confused. As of now, like no one would like you are developers. Okay, so we'll write a code and save it as hello world dot Java. We'll save it the Java file, and that Java file will be taken by compiler. Okay, and this will do the compilation. What is the output? Input. See, this is input. IP stands for input. Input is hello world dot Java, and output is OP stands for output. Output is bytecode. So bytecode means actually it is a hello world dot class file. Okay, and if you come back here in this file structure, I'll just come back to source. This June 20 is the folder. You can see bin. In bin again there is a day one folder, and you can see welcome dot class file. This is what the bytecode file actually. So whenever we create a project, we have bin and source, right? Source will have the code written by us. Bin will have the class files, which is compiled. Once it is compiled, it will have it there. Is it clear? Okay. So we'll go for have this input. This class file will be stored in that bin folder, and then this JVM will access the class file in the bin folder. Okay, so now what is this? Like this is what the input. This is input for this. And since it's a class file, that file is going to be read by this class loader. There is something called class loader which will read that class file. Okay, and then there is something called bytecode verifier. It will check whether all the content written inside this class file is proper. So now when we write the code in Java, it will check semicolon and all proper and all while compiling, right? So similarly, bytecode is proper or not, it will check that. If it is proper, then it will go for interpreter. This bytecode will be taken by interpreter. Interpreter, what it does, it will go by line. So this is compiler and this is interpreter. Now, I hope it's making sense. Somebody asked a question like whether both are same difference. What is that? Compiler give bytecode as an output, and bytecode after verifying is taken by interpreter. It will take line by line. LL means line by line. Okay, and then it will go for give it to the runtime, and this runtime will interact with operating system. Operating system will run that code on hardware. Okay, so while doing all this process, there is a person called JIT. What these guys will do is compose like reusable bytecode to the machine code. Okay, if there is something like reusable being used again and again and again, so it will like take care about that part. Okay, Paras, like what should I repeat? Yeah, repeated code. No, sorry, I'm sorry, repeated code line. Exactly, JIT will take care about the repeated code line. Yes, so interpreter will convert it into this binary form. That's right, Kiran Kumar. Okay. When we compile, what is the difference between syntax and semantic errors? Okay, syntax means like the whatever the code we write. Okay, semantic errors. Okay, we'll see that slowly. Okay, we'll go for that. So as of now, but that all happens like here in the compiler. Okay, that we'll see it. So hope it's clear how a file is like whatever we write, how it's going to be compiled, executed, run, and what happens, how whatever the code we have written in Java converted into bytecode. Okay, and then it will, okay, I'll repeat that. Say for example, Vishal, like there is a code, okay, which is going to be repeated again and again and again 10 times. Say I'm printing like my name is Krishnanan for 10 times in 10 different line. Okay, so like every time like when it is like interpreted, once it is interpreted, like interpreted means it will read that like my name is Krishnanand as a byte code and convert it into like zeros and ones by interpreter, right? Understood? So that is repeated 10 times, which means interpreter should like repeatedly convert that to zero ones. So it will reduce that. This guy will say like, boss, just wait, you have compiled this earlier, so I'll take care about this, or it will keep the reference, something like there is a mechanism which will handle that, so that it is not like need to become converted again and again from bytecode to the zeros and ones. Okay, yes, right. So if it is clear, then we'll go forward. Is it clear? Again, it's concept, like once you understand, then you will.
Sir, can you just repeat once again the JIT compiler and interpreter part? Just once.
Okay. Say for example, I have written a code. Okay, I have written a code like to print, say, my name or whatever it is. Okay, system.out.sop println, and I have written this script. This line is in the Java file, and it will be compiled to what class file? Like this will be converted into like some, say, like we don't know what is that. I'll just put it as like 3 box in the bytecode, and I have written this 10 times. Okay, so what happens here? First line of code execution will be done by this interpreter. It will take this and it will convert it into say 01010011 something. Interpreter will take this bytecode and convert it into this binary value. Is it understood now? What is interpreter work?
Yes, sir. Yes.
But now I have written it how many times? 10 times.
Yes.
So this has to convert the same, do the same work for 10 times, no, interpreter?
Yes, sir. It almost 30 because 3 into 10.
Yeah, whatever it is. So 10 times it will do it. So here, this guy will say like, boss, you did it already. I like it will store it somewhere and like handle that so that it is not going to do that repeatedly.
Okay.
Okay, it's just like helping this interpreter to reduce its work, optimizing its conversion.
Sir, basically JIT compiler is checking another time the bytecode to converting into the machine code.
Yes.
Now it is clear, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Is it clear, Rohit? That's what the use of this is, like reusable bytecodes, reduce the execution. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's write that. We'll continue. Let me clear all this. Okay, and we'll go further. So yeah, that's what like we have seen now, right? This is folder structure they're explaining again. Project structure. So my workspace, learn Java is a like first project, and source and like our Java file and class file. We have seen both. So source code is in src folder and the same package name, and when it comes to class file, it is available in a bin folder. Okay, same thing has been executed. Next. See, when you see this, it's known as platform independent. Java is platform independent because if you okay, so if you see here, see, I wrote code in Java. Once I compiled, I'll get this, right? Listen carefully here. I write code in this, okay? And once I compile, I'll get this class file. Okay, I'll get this class file. So here I can take this class file, which is a bytecode. Okay, which is a bytecode. So this code is platform independent. I can run this code on any platform. So what does that mean? We'll see that. Give me a moment. Okay, if you see here, there are like something like which is platform dependent. So which means if you run some code on one operating system cannot be used on another operating system. If you run a software, like install a software on Windows, cannot be installed on Ubuntu. If you run a software on like Windows, cannot be installed on Mac, right? So there are different, they are known as different platforms. Okay, the operating system change means different. Say for example, if you compile, if you want to run a C code, you have written a code, you compile it in Windows, and it will produce us a file called hello world.exe file. So if you want to run it, you can run only in Windows system. You cannot take this hello world.exe and run it anywhere. But whereas after compilation in C of like Linux, it will give .out file, and Mac also .out file. So if you compile it in Linux, you can run it on Mac, but if you compile it on Linux, you cannot run it on Windows. How does this bytecode look like? Again, it's like understandable by the system only. And if you really want to see that, you can go back to this bin. Okay, just right click and open with, I'll go with say notepad. You see something like this. Okay, is it visible, Abhilash? That white code is understandable by system, but you can do certain things. Okay, yeah, good. So coming back, so this is what, like this is platform dependent. You cannot run this. See, after compilation, we'll get an intermediate file which cannot be run on any of the operating system, is dependent. But whereas in Java, what happens is, see, you write a code, compile it either on Linux, Windows, or Mac. Anywhere you compile it, you will get a same bytecode. What you will get? You will get same bytecode. Am I clear? And you can run that bytecode on any platform again. See, there is going to be a JVM which can interact with this operating system Windows. See, JVM work is what? To interact with the operating system, right? Yeah, Vishal. See, once I write a code hello world.java, okay, and I'll go for compile it. Once I compile, what happens? It will give a class file, right? You are aware about that. Okay, see, once I compile, I'll get this file, but we will take three different scenario. If I compile in Windows, it will give one file. If I compile the same code in Linux, it will give one file. If you compile same code in Mac, it will give one file. But if you compare all three codes, byte codes will be same. That's what is being conveyed here. Okay, so for example, once we have that code, okay, once we have that code, we can go for convert it, like run it in the different OS. We can run it in different OS. Okay, so that is what we need to see now, like how we can do that. Now, if you see here, whatever the hello world file, hello world.class file, you can run it in Windows, you can run it in Linux, you can run it in Mac. If you compile it on Mac, and you can run it in Windows also. If you compile the code in Windows, you can run it in Linux also. But earlier it was not possible. Why? Because the input for this JVM of all these operating systems are same bytecode. That's dot class file. It means compile once and run anywhere. That's right, Rohit. Compile once. Once you have the compile code, you can run it anywhere. Okay. That's why it's known as platform independent. Now the next question I have. So let me know how many of you understood. So JVM, what's the use of JVM? First tell me that.
Works to interact with the operating system.
Okay, so it will take the byte codes converted in by the interpreter as a machine code, and it will interact with the operating system. Now, my question, okay, it acts as a like platform, yeah, or intermediate. So who will take care about that? Now, if I have a JVM like it's a software, okay. If I have like JVM in of like which I can install in Windows, can I install the same JVM with Linux?
No, sir.
No, because like there is a difference between how you interact with Windows and how you interact with Linux and how you interact with Mac. It's just like, say for example, like if this Windows means, say if it is English, and if it is say Kannada, or like if it is say Hindi, okay, so the translator should be different, but output will be same on different platform. Okay, so that JVM will differ from each and every operating system. Okay, right, so that's all. Like if you have understood this concept, we are ready to go. Then we'll go with lot of other concepts. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of other things. That's what the like platform independent means. So these are like some of the features. We'll keep watching slowly as and when. So now we'll go for the quiz questions. Okay, so if you see here, which component is responsible for optimize reusable bytecode conversion to the machine code? Very good, it's a JIT compiler. Awesome. So John uses Java compiler to generate dash from .java file. The extension of this file will be dash. Yes. .java file means it's a byte. Okay. What code is this? C. Okay. To generate C from .java file, we will, okay, see, from this we will generate bytecode, and from this bytecode, the extension of this bytecode will be dot class. Okay, so extension of this bytecode will be dot class. That's right. Then you submit. Yes. So answer is right. It has the explanation also. Both are correct. If something goes wrong, you can check the answers and recorrect it. Okay. We'll go to the next. So introduction to Java, exercise 1. So create a new Java project with trainee details.java. So now see, they are asking you to create a Java project here, trainee details.java. So it depends, like if you want to create a project, you can create it. So for time being, what I suggest is you just go with a class. You create only one project, because if you keep on creating project each and every time, it is going to be difficult. Okay, suggested for you to create one project like something similar to this. Say you can give like learning or whatever you want, and here I'll do the class. So here they told us to create class tester and then go with the code here, and they're asking you to, my name is, you need to print your name and your designation. Okay, so I'll do that. I'll go here. Okay, I'll go to file, new, class, and you can see here, always please cross check this. Sometimes it might conflict between like when you have more than one project. Source folder is June 20 and src, and the package name is day one. So in that package I want to create tester finish. So I have this tester class created, and what is expected for us to do? We need to go with, my name is Maria, like whatever it is, you write your name and designation, right? Okay, I'll go back. So I'll just go with this. A tester is a class name as well as tester is a file name. Here tester.java is a file name. Here class name is tester. Okay, so I'll go with this. To print what is required, system.out.println, right? Okay, am I doing right? It's sufficient? No, what happened? Exactly. You cannot write any statement, okay? Okay, you cannot see, now it's a statement, a line followed by a semicolon, but you cannot write any statement directly inside a class. Please remember that. You must and should have a method, and the program always starts from main method, so we must and should have a main method. So I should go with public static void main open parenthesis and string array args. Again, we'll see what is that string args, why it is required and all. Open parenthesis and enter. And here you can write the statement, remember that. Okay, so now there is no error, no red highlight. Okay, right? So now let me go for save it and run it. So my name is Krish, so it's printing. So similarly, what I should do is I'll go for, what is the next statement what we need to print? Okay, we need to print this, my designation is. Okay, system dot out dot println. So whatever we want to print, we should print it in the double quote. My designation is. So similarly, you do it for yours. Okay, change your name and all those things. Save it and run it. Understood? This is exercise. Okay, so exercise means like we saw quiz is one type, and we saw tryouts where they will give the question as well as solution. And this is a third type of things what you need to do. Like you can have exercises. So they will mention something, observe, and you write your code and execute it. Okay. We also write main method outside the class. No. Class, the method must and should be inside a class. So you can write class and method should be must and should be inside a class, and statement should be inside the method, any method. Okay. Can we use private instead of public? That we'll see later, Rohit. Slowly we'll go through that. As I said, I'll take it for sure. Okay, we'll see in detail. First, we'll see with like some flow of executions, then we'll go with it. Can you please repeat how to write method I didn't get your question, Vishal. How to write method using method? What does that mean? Could you please elaborate? No, you cannot have multiple main method. Main method is also a method. Yeah, it's also a method. Name of the method is main. See, it's just like man, like there is one team lead, right? And then team members in like any project. So it's just like all are human beings. Team leader is also human being, but it has a specific operation or employee, and others also same like employees. Multiple main methods, no, you cannot have multiple main methods. Can we have indentation for readability of code? Yes. And then explain this static and void. We'll go with static, void, and all those things. Okay, we have a concept called methods. We'll do that over there. But you just understand how to display something, whatever you want to display here. That's all, using system.out.println. Okay, right. So there is an assignment. So we saw quiz question. Next one is tryout. Next one is exercise, and this one is assignment. So now hope you can do this assignment on your own. Create a new Java project. So as of now, no need to create. In the same thing, you create just a class. Okay. Class name as address details, and then do this. Print this for information. Okay. So hope you can do that. That's what you need to do. That's assignment one, what you need to complete. Then here is the concept called keywords. Okay. Right. So now, right guys, so we'll just go for explore some more things. Okay, right. So there's something called keywords. What do you mean by keywords? So keywords which are reserved words means like it has like instead of I say reserved words having a predefined meaning. Okay. Okay. Reserved words or like reserved words instead of that like what the exactly explanation is, it has some predefined meaning. Okay, abstract means it has some predefined meaning, else, return, break, final, static, case, for, switch, class, if, throw, continue, important, train, like lot of this, right? Okay, so these are all the like some examples of keywords. There are many more. Okay, so this means like break means it has a specific meaning, else means it has specific meanings. So then why we are learning about keywords? Because like after this we are going to come up with something as identifiers. So we will use like to identify a method, we'll give a method name. Okay, and when we go with say for example identify a data, we'll use something as variables. Okay, so what we'll do is in this kind of cases we'll give some name and that is known as identifiers. So this why we are learning about keyword means like while you defining like any identifiers, we should not use any of these keywords. We'll see that here in the next. So for example variable. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to store some data, and to store that data and identify, we'll have variables which can vary the values of that particular data type. Say how do we do that? The definition of a variable is data type, variable name, followed by value. So now if I want to store an integer, I want a variable which can store that. Say if you get into kitchen and like start cooking, like you want vessel so that you can, it's a variable vessel, we can consider it as a variable. We can keep changing the value. The value can vary. If you have a glass, you can like pour juice, you can pour water, you can pour milk. The value can vary. It's like, but the data type is liquid. Able to understand? Similarly, if I have an integer variable, say discount, I can assign any integer value into that. If I have a double, the data type is changing now. Okay, so you can have like any double values. The name is total price and price after discount. Like here we are doing the process. This is processing. We are calculating the discount price and we are assigning it to this, and they are printing that. Okay, right. So we'll go for just copy this. Okay, and let me go for run this. If I want to run this, can I simply go here? Okay, can I simply go here and like just paste it in a file and do it? If you see this code, what they have written here does not have a class, so we should enclose this inside a class. I cannot simply go back, and since they have given that, like, if I try to run this, it won't run. Okay, remember that. So sometimes the code snippet what they are giving, like you should please ensure that, like, okay, it will not be able to run that. So you should have at least class, and then you can go with run this. Okay, I'll go for save it. I just take the tester class, this one, or like since I already have the tester class, if you want to go with create one more class, file, new class, and I'll give it as tester. If I do the same name, if I try to create the tester, it will say type already exists. So you cannot have same class name inside a single package. Okay, so right now I'm creating in day one. In day one, we already have a tester class. So, but in the example, they might have given tester every time. So what I suggest is you go with say tester one. Class name is tester one, and in like the class name should be different. And here I'll paste that, save it, and run it. Okay. Okay, actually it's running. Yeah. So it's running for tester one, and customer paid a bill of amount 180. Okay, so hope you are able to understand. We had two variables with value assigned, and then we'll go for it. Now we'll see it in the. So whenever we speak about declaring a variable, data type, variable name, this is one way. Data type, variable name, and we can also assign values. So this is what, like data type, variable name, and this 10 is a value. Okay, so now like these variables what we have used, and also the method names what we are going to use. Yeah, why it's plus in display method. See what's happening here is I want to print something inside this println statement, but what I want to do is I want to display this, like customer has paid a bill of amount. It's fixed information, and whatever the value is stored in this variable. So I cannot, if I go for like print it something like this with space, it will throw an error because it is not identifiable. So how they have defined in Java is you should have a plus symbol, which means it will, this string plus this data is concatenated. Is it clear, Sharanya? It's a concatenation. Okay, good. So identifiers. Now we'll see what is that. Say if I have like two like cup and I want to differentiate that. Say for example, I have one coffee cup from Swift Food restaurant and another coffee cup from Coffee Zone. So like easily accessible. Say for example, if I ask you to, could you please like give me like whatever, like if I ask you for certain things, I should specifically mention, could you please give me the book? Now again you will ask which book, so I should say like whatever it is, Java book or whatever it is, so that you can give it when you have more than one. Okay, if you have one, it's not a problem. So this is the scenario, like we'll have more than one variables available, like values available. To identify that, we'll use the identifiers. So similarly in programming, okay, so identifiers are used to different like identify variables, methods, and class. You can please note this. As of now, we have seen for what variables we saw, but that's not only the identifier. We'll identify variables, we'll identify methods, as well as we'll identify class. So whenever we write all these things, okay, so we want to uniquely identify it. To do that, we have some rules in Java. When we write any variable names, when we write any class names or method names, they have given some rules. What is that rule? Okay, it should contain only lowercase alphabet, uppercase alphabet, and digits 0 to 9. The identifiers, which means the variable name, class name, or method name, can contain lower letter alphabet, capital letter alphabet, as well as digits. Okay, and also a dollar symbol. There are like if you see on the keyboard, you can see like lot of symbols like other than ABCD and 0 to 9. You can see lot of open curly brace, square bracket, colon, semicolon, quote, single quote, double quote, greater than, lesser than, comma, dot, forward slash, question mark, right? So there are like almost 250 plus different symbols available, but you cannot use all those symbols. That's what they are telling. So here you can use 26 lower letters plus 26 upper letter, that is going to be 52, and 10 digits, that's going to be 62 plus 1 plus 1, that is 64. Only 64 characters you can use when you write any variable names or method name or class name. Is it clear? How many characters you can use for identifiers? 64. So 26 lower letter, 26 upper letter, 10 digits plus dollar and underscore. Okay, and next rule is it should not start with digits. Yes, you can use those 64, but you please never start any of the things with the digits. If you want digit, you can give it in between, you can give it at end, but not in the beginning. That's the second rule. Right, it should not have space. So obviously like we can use only this 64, means space is not included. You cannot consider that because in program like space is also a character. Okay, only these 64 characters can be used. Next, it should not be a Java keyword. Yes, you can do that, but it should not be a Java keyword, which means it has a reserved meaning, right? So you cannot use it as a variable. Okay, and it is case sensitive again. So sometimes you can write say num1, and in another way like num, say for example num is different, num is different, num is different, this num is different, this num is different, this num is different. Okay, so uppercase lowercase matters, like, but it looks like everything similar, right? Okay, so you should be very careful. It has no length restrictions. In some programming language they have given a length restriction for those variable names and all, but here in Java there is no length restrictions. Okay, and valid identifiers. See, my M is capital, it's fine. Underscore they're using, fine. Variable all small letter, fine. So here it's starting with letters, but like digits are there, it's fine. You can start with, see they said do not to start with digits, but they didn't say you should not start with underscore or dollar, so you can do that. Okay. Invalid, 1 2 3, it's starting from digit, that's why it's wrong. It has a space, that's why it's wrong. It has a special character other than dollar and underscore, that's why it is wrong. Okay, now we'll see about the data types. Okay, in Java like we have different types of data types. And see, I know like we are going through a lot of slides, that doesn't mean that it's a complex topic. We are getting awareness on like all different scenarios. Okay, hope it's simple, you are able to follow. everybody please do respond if anybody finding difficult. So I hope like even though you're going for the first time, you're able to understand it. Anybody feeling slightly difficult? Okay, good. Right, then we'll see data type. So as of now, we have seen like one example with integer and yeah. Thank you guys for all those who have responded. Sriram, Rohit, Nitya, right? Mohan Kumar and everyone. Thank you. So now we have like data types. Say for example, I gave one example when it comes to kitchen, right? So can we use two data types int? No, Rohit, you cannot do that. Okay. When it is an int, then it is int. That's all. I'll come to that. So why it is required? Maybe you want. I'll come to that part. Okay, we'll see that. So data type. Okay, and primitive, like in that we have two types. One is primitive data type and another one is non-primitive data type. What do you mean by primitive? Primitive data types holds the value of the data item. It will directly holds the value, it seems. But when it comes to non-primitive, it will hold the reference or the memory location, reference of the memory location. We can see it as address. Okay, fine. So here we have two things. If you have a variable which holds the value directly is known as primitive. If it holds a reference, yes, like pointer, but it's not exactly, you cannot exactly call it as pointer, but similar. Okay, because in C programming and all, yeah, primitive have size restrictions. Yeah, we'll see that now. Okay, good, that's right. Say for example, if I want to store a small integer, like in, you know what is integer, right? 1 2 3 4 to infinity positive, and from like 0 -1 -2 and negative infinity. So that is integer without real value. So which means that it's like 1.2 is not an integer, it's the real value. So only that like integer part means before decimal part. So if I want to store a small integer, I can use short. It's an integer only. It will store integer, okay? But it's a small value. It has a limitation. You cannot go beyond this value. Okay? And similarly, we have something called int. It will store slightly bigger value than this short. And there is something called long. It will store even more bigger value. If you want to store a even more bigger value which can be stored in this int, then you can go for it. Okay? And then double. Okay. Yeah, like they have given a good example. If you go for any like coffee shop, there might be like small, medium, large, right? So we'll go for like use those variables like based on the required quantity to be stored. Okay, right. So now we'll see this. This is what like interesting. So now we have something called Boolean. Okay, there's a data type called Boolean, and it is size is 1 bit, and there is a byte which whose size is 8 bit. There is a character whose size is 16 bit. There is a short whose size is 16 bit. Integer 32, long